But tonight, the NBA is going to take that central focus here with a huge, huge slate. Yesterday, 4 games, very competitive across the board for the most part here. But today, we're going to take a look at a 6-pack of games, which leads us out to Denver, home of the world champions in the NBA, the Denver Nuggets. They're going to take on the Phoenix Suns here, as we talked about, no longer a top 6 team in the West. And the Suns are going to be healthy with their big 3, Joe Ranieri, playing in the play-in round. Make some sense here. Look at these numbers. 226 on the total, but a 7.5-point favorite here for those Denver Nuggets, which is up on the overnight line of 5 here. Can the Suns, if the Suns show up with the big 3 getting 7.5, you got to take them, right? Or maybe not.
I mean, all right. So the big question we always had with them was, would they stay healthy enough, right, to get there? Well, you know, here we are. Beal is still on the report, I think, missing what could be his, 28th or 29th game. So I can't, you just can't trust this team. As a matter of fact, I have the numbers. Beal, Booker, and Durant have played 31 of the 71 games this season so far together. I mean, that's not going to get it done, especially going into Denver, in which we all thought Denver's last game, laying double digits against Memphis, was a little iffy. Everybody played. They boat raced Memphis. They want that number 1 seed. They're making a push for it. And we said it yesterday, Donnie. They're telling everyone, we want the 1 seed like we had last year. This is a tough spot for Phoenix.
By the way, what do we need to see for Phoenix? Or maybe it's nothing for you, Joe Ranieri, of what we haven't seen already. Like, what would put you back in Phoenix's camp? Because you know what? There might be value here on the Suns getting to the playoffs if they're all healthy, playing well. But quite frankly, I've been waiting way too long to see something out of the Phoenix Suns. Is there something you need to see down the stretch where it's like, you know what? Now I'll take the Suns. Because for me, Joe, I'm out on the Suns right now. I just can't trust them.
Well, there's nothing you can trust, honey, and those numbers, prove it. I mean, the 3 guys that are supposed to carry your team have played 31 games. I mean, what are we doing here? And now all of a sudden we keep thinking they're going to flip a switch. Now, I do think when you want to get back in on them is, where did they land in the seeding? Who would they have to play in the play-in game? Matchup and style-wise, they probably could do some damage early, but by the time you get to the upper seeds, they can't compete in a best 4 out of 7 game.
One team we thought might not be able to compete all that well in this basketball season, that was the Houston Rockets, the hottest team in the NBA. They're going to take on OKC. Now, we just talked about OKC in the early parts of the show, going on the road and taking down the Pelicans in an impressive victory. Now they're going to fly home on a back-to-back, and have them waiting on them are the Houston Rockets. This line opened up at 6.5 at the FanDuel Sportsbook and has stayed at 6.5 in a total of 232. Can the streaking Rockets take out OKC tonight?
Well, they certainly could. I mean, that 6 number is pretty impressive here, and we have seen them, I believe, in the past, Donnie, go toe-to-toe in some games here when they weren't in nearly as good a form as they are right now. Listen, they're playing defense. They're going up-tempo. I think the best way to look at this game, Donnie, is expect points. Ime Udoka there has gone up-tempo without Sengun in the lineup. They have no problem scoring, and more scoring. We know OKC, they're not going to have, and even on the second of a back-to-back, they're still going to be able to get some points here. If you think Houston's got enough defense to slow them down on the second of a back-to-back, take the 6. But I think looking at the over is not a bad option here in this one.
Yeah, and also, you're looking at OKC, too. Normally, you'd say to yourself on a back-to-back, hey, maybe we rest SGA tonight, Chet Holmgren. But you're fighting for that number 1 seed and also picking up that win last night. You don't want to lose that momentum. And also, the Golden State Warriors here sitting back in their rocking chair going like, come on, OKC, put that full starting lineup out, which is a perfect segue over to the next game. It's the Golden State Warriors, who we saw pick up a victory in South Beach last night, 113-92 over the Miami Heat. Now, they're going to move forward tonight and go up to Orlando to take on the Magic, who have quite frankly asserted themselves as, hey, you know what? Maybe we can win a round or 2 in the playoffs here. We're no longer in the play-in rounds here. You take a look at this line. -4 is the opening line overnight. It's actually dipped down at the FanDuel Sportsbook to a live number of 3.5, a total of 218.5. The veteran Warriors on a back-to-back against a team that's been pretty good this year and really good at home this year in the Orlando Magic, Joe.
Yeah, so I think it's important always to make sure that you, especially now, Donnie, know who's playing here for Golden State, right?
Yeah.
Second of a back-to-back. Klay Thompson was really, really good last night. Can he put back-to-back efforts together here? I mean, you're talking about an Orlando Magic team, Donnie, that has excelled at home. One of the best, I believe, ATS records at home. They are extremely difficult, way more difficult than what they just saw last night against Miami because they have more size and athleticism there. This is a tough spot for the Warriors. I'm a little surprised the market's moving towards Golden State here because I do think ultimately maybe one of the staff, somebody's sitting in this game for the Warriors. I'm almost positive of that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, too, because Klay Thompson back in the starting lineup last night. Let's see if he's out of it, because as a veteran team, you do have to worry about it. The chance for recurring injuries here as you get older, obviously much, much easier, even though it is a big-time game for the Golden State Warriors. Also, watching that scoreboard as well for the game starting about an hour later, that Rockets-Thunder game, that could be key to watch that play out. Let's take a look in the city of brotherly love, a rematch of just a few nights ago. It's the Los Angeles Clippers taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. This game not in Crypto.com Arena, but back in the city of Philadelphia. A favorite here of 5.5 points live for the Clippers in a total that's now coming in at 217. So down from that opening number of 218.5. It's always tough for me to look at the Philadelphia 76ers and bet them because I seem like I'm just saying to myself, why bet the Sixers? If you think they're going to play well, just take Tyrese Maxey, whatever his overs are, assists, rebounds, points, whatever it may be. Because if he doesn't play well or play extremely well, there's not a really good chance that they can be quality opponents. Having said that, they did just beat the Clippers. Can they repeat that performance, Joe, taking on the Clippers in Philadelphia this time around?
Well, they need to keep winning games here, Donnie, right? I mean, this is the first game home after that 4-game road trip out west. In fact, the only game they won on that trip was against, you guessed it, these Clippers here. So this is a big spot for both of these teams. And I do believe, is this Harden's first time back at Philly since he left?
I believe it is. I believe it is, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so that's going to be a lot of fun. So that'll either work great for Harden and he'll go off, or he'll be a mess and it's not going to work out good. So just depends on how you Philly fans treat him. But I cannot lay a number with the Clippers at this current version is just hot trash.
And by the way, if the NCAA was involved in the NBA, they're like, come on, we got to protect James Harden. You can't have prop bets on Harden coming back to Philadelphia. Let's protect the integrity of the basketball game. It should be a nice little atmosphere down as the Sixers await Joel Embiid coming back. Doesn't look like the Sixers going to be able to climb up into that 6th seed, so maybe they can just stay in that 7 or 8 to avoid that ultimate doom and elimination by losing one basketball game if they do, but at least having that home court advantage in those early round action games. The reason being, the Pacers playing some decent basketball as they hope to stay in the top 6 in the Eastern Conference. They'll take on the Chicago Bulls. Line opened up as a 2.5-point favorite on the road for the Pacers. Now sits at a -3 at the FanDuel Sportsbook, and a total, which was 232.5 overnight, that has now risen to a live number of 235 even. Pacers and the Bulls tonight. Easy for the Pacers here, or the Bulls rise up at home in Chicago?
Well, the Bulls are feisty. They have to be, right? Because they, too, are trying to claw their way at home. So are the Pacers here, who bounce back in a nice way after getting absolutely bulldozed by the refs in that Laker game the other night. But they've bounced back nice. Pacers, I believe this is the last of a 5-game road trip. They are 3-1 on this road trip here. So I think the Pacers are not a bad look here. Don't trust Chicago to have enough scoring down the stretch. I do trust Indiana to have that. So, yeah, definitely give me the Pacers.
All right, let's get the look at the next game here. One team is trying to hang on to improve their seeding. That's the New York Knicks. One team, the Toronto Raptors, the bottom has just completely fallen out, and who knows if they're going to win a game the rest of the way. As I'm looking at the standings, 0-10 in their last 10, but an 11-game overall losing streak. The Knicks still coming in shorthanded. This line opened up at the FanDuel Sportsbook, Joe, at a -9. It now sits at close to 2 touchdowns at 13.5, and a total that's listed now at 212. Oh, my goodness. I don't know where the Raptors have gone on this season, but can we lay almost 14 points on the road with the Knicks?
Well, I mean, we just laid 17 the other night, right? It didn't stop. Everyone was going, how do we lay 17? Well, you lay 17 because they're absolutely shooting the lights out. I mean, DiVincenzo is out of his mind right now. He made, what was it, 11 3-pointers on Monday?
Yeah.
Dropped 40 against Detroit. And much like Detroit, I think Toronto's also mailed it in on the season here. I think they're looking forward to some golf time and some time away from the court. So, yeah, if I'm playing, I'm laying here, Donnie. There's no way I want anything to do with backing Toronto.
Yeah, a little bit of time for some more NBA action tonight. 8 o'clock, an interesting one. We saw the Lakers last night go up to Milwaukee, struggle in the first quarter, about to get blown out and absolutely recover. Not enough to cover the spread, but actually win the game outright against the Bucks. They jump on a plane and head down to Memphis, who we know isn't a great basketball team. That's a 5-point line that we saw overnight as a favorite towards the Lakers. That's now down to 3.5 here at the FanDuel Sportsbook, and a price point here on the total up from $217 to $222. We know the Lakers need to win basketball games. They held LeBron James out yesterday and played Anthony Davis. I'm going to tell you one thing. The surprise would be Anthony Davis after playing 50-plus minutes last night on a back-to-back taking the court tonight. But does that mean in your eyes they're still a favorite? Is LeBron back on the court tonight?
I think he is, but, you know, the Lakers never led in that game until overtime. That was it. I mean, that was the only time they had trailed the entire game. That's a lot of energy and effort. You know, D'Angelo Russell was huge there in that game. Now you're asking him to go on the road here on the second of a back-to-back and lay points against a Memphis squad who's gotten a little healthier, but they certainly haven't thrown in their towel in a season, and they're better at home. I don't trust the Lakers unless the refs are involved. Laying points in this spot, it would only be Memphis for me.
Let's see what happens in that one also. It would be a miracle, again, if Anthony Davis shows up tonight. I would love it. I mean, that would go against the narrative, right? Like, he played a lot of minutes last night. No way he can play tonight. We'll see if he returns to the court. I don't think that's going to happen. Let me just get to this one game here because, again, we are handicappers. It's a game on the board. But, Joe, the approach for this one, 7 o'clock start tonight, the Brooklyn Nets going nowhere. Taking on the Washington Wizards, going nowhere. It's a 3.5-point line for the Nets here. How, as a handicapper, if they said you had to break this game down, how can you do it and who can you trust? Because neither one of these teams wants to win basketball games.
No, not. So what I would do is I'd take a blindfold and I'd put up the logo on the wall of each team. I'd spin myself around 20 times, and whoever I crashed into is who I'd bet, because you got just as good a chance of figuring it out that way than actually looking and trying to handicap these two trash ones. Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea.